For centuries, humans have looked up at the stars and assumed we are not alone. We've discovered thousands of planets orbiting distant stars, leading us to believe that Earth is just one of many worlds scattered across the cosmos. But what if all of that is wrong? What if Earth is truly the only planet, alone in a vast, empty universe? This idea may seem absurd at first, but it raises profound questions about our place in reality. If no other planets exist, then everything we know about astronomy, physics, and even biology might need rewriting. In this video, we'll explore what would happen if Earth was the sole planetary body in existence, and how that revelation could change science, philosophy, and the human spirit forever. Would we see ourselves as the center of creation, or merely a cosmic accident lost in an endless void? Could our understanding of the universe survive such a discovery, or would it collapse under its weight? Modern astronomy relies on indirect methods to detect exoplanets, planets outside our solar system. Scientists observe subtle changes in starlight, when a planet passes in front of its host star, or measure tiny walls caused by gravitational tugs. These techniques have led to the discovery of over 5,000 confirmed exoplanets. But what if these signals were misinterpreted? Could we be seeing patterns where none truly exist? Some fringe theories suggest that our instruments might be detecting something else entirely: cosmic interference, atmospheric noise, or even artificial illusions. While most scientists dismiss these ideas, the possibility remains unsettling. What if we're wrong about the existence of other worlds? And what if all those confirmed planets are nothing more than statistical errors or programmed illusions? If Earth were the only real planet, then the entire field of astrophysics would need to be re-evaluated from the ground up. If Earth were the only planet, the universe would look radically different from what we understand today. Instead of billions of galaxies filled with stars and planetary systems, space would be almost entirely empty, just floating stars with no orbiting worlds. Our own solar system would appear unique, with Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter somehow never forming. Even stranger, the laws of physics as we know them might not allow for planet formation elsewhere. This scenario challenges everything we think we know about cosmic evolution, forcing us to ask, is our understanding of astrophysics built on an illusion? If planets can't form anywhere else, does that mean Earth is an anomaly, a rare, perhaps even divine, exception in an otherwise barren universe? Such a realization would shake the foundations of science and religion alike, making Earth not just special, but possibly the only place where life has ever existed. One explanation for Earth being the only planet is that we're inside a simulation. If our universe was designed specifically for us, then other planets might not exist because they aren't necessary. This idea aligns with the simulation hypothesis, the belief that our reality is artificially created. In such a world, stars might simply be decorative, and reports of exoplanets could be programmed illusions meant to create a sense of scale. While this theory is impossible to prove, it raises interesting philosophical questions. If we are alone, does that mean we were placed here intentionally? And if so, by whom, or what? A simulated universe with only one planet could be a test, a prison, or even a playground for higher intelligence. It might explain why we haven't found signs of alien life, because there's nowhere else for life to be. Imagine waking up one day and learning that every other planet you thought existed was nothing more than a mistake, a trick of light, or a cosmic anomaly. The psychological impact would be immense. Many people find comfort in the idea that we are part of a grand cosmic family. Knowing we are completely alone would challenge our sense of meaning, purpose, and destiny. Some might fall into existential despair, while others could see it as proof of divine design or scientific error. Either way, the knowledge that Earth is the only planet would reshape how we view ourselves, and whether life has any significance beyond our fragile blue dot. Religious beliefs, cultural narratives, and even political structures could shift overnight. If Earth is the only place where life exists, then every human experience, joy, and tragedy takes on a new level of importance, or insignificance. If Earth were the only planet in the universe, it would have profound implications for religion, philosophy, and human identity. Many belief systems already place humanity at the center of creation, suggesting that life on Earth has a unique purpose or divine origin. Discovering that no other planets exist could reinforce these beliefs, offering what some might call proof of Earth's special status in the cosmos. Others, however, might see it as evidence of cosmic randomness, a lonely fluke in an otherwise meaningless void. Either way, this revelation would force believers and skeptics alike to reconsider fundamental questions about existence, destiny, and whether we are truly meant to be here, or if our presence is just a cosmic accident with no greater meaning. Science depends on observation, replication, and comparison. If Earth were the only known planet, many scientific fields would struggle to function as they do today. Astronomy would lose its foundation, planetary science would become speculative, and astrobiology would be reduced to pure theory. Researchers would face an impossible dilemma. How can we understand planets if we only have one example? Without comparisons, drawing conclusions about planetary formation, atmospheric evolution, or even climate change becomes far more uncertain. Some scientists might argue that Earth is all there ever was, and perhaps all there ever will be. Others would search desperately for alternative explanations, questioning whether our instruments, theories, or even senses are deceiving us about the nature of reality itself. In a universe where Earth is the only planet, stars would take on a strange new role. Instead of being centers of planetary systems, they'd simply hang in space, alone, unaccompanied by any orbiting worlds. This raises unsettling questions. What is their purpose? Why do they shine if no one else exists to see them? In traditional astrophysics, stars are essential for creating heavy elements through supernovae, which then form planets and life. But without planets, those processes would serve no apparent function. It would be like having factories running endlessly with no product. Some might interpret this as a sign that something once existed, but was erased, or that the universe is still waiting for life to begin elsewhere. One of the most disturbing possibilities is that we're not just alone, but that we've been made to believe we aren't. Could it be that our telescopes are programmed to show us planets that don't exist? Could our data be falsified by unknown forces? This idea aligns with theories of cosmic deception, where reality is deliberately constructed to hide the truth from us. In such a scenario, Earth wouldn't just be the only planet, it would be the only stage in an empty theater, designed to make us feel part of something larger than ourselves. Whether by divine design, alien manipulation, or simulation, the illusion of a populated universe might be the cruelest trick of all, one that prevents us from confronting our true isolation. Space exploration has always been driven by the hope of discovering new worlds. Missions like Voyager, Hubble, and James Webb were launched to peer deeper into the cosmos, searching for signs of life and understanding our place in the universe. But if Earth were the only planet, space travel would suddenly seem pointless. There would be no Mars to colonize, no exoplanets to visit, no alien civilizations to contact. Even the moon and other celestial bodies in our solar system might be revealed as illusions or anomalies. Governments would likely halt funding for interplanetary missions, and private space companies would pivot toward Earth-based concerns. The dream of becoming a multiplanetary species would collapse overnight, leaving us stranded, not just on Earth, but in a universe that offers no escape. If we discovered that Earth was truly the only planet in existence, it would reshape culture in profound ways. Artists might turn inward, focusing more on human emotion, identity, and existential themes. Music could become more introspective or even melancholic, reflecting the weight of cosmic solitude. Literature might explore ideas of isolation, meaning, and the fragility of life, in a universe with no other worlds to share it with. Entire genres, science fiction, space opera, and interstellar adventure, would lose their relevance, replaced by stories about internal exploration rather than external discovery. Films and television would shift from depicting vast galactic civilizations to intimate, philosophical narratives about what it means to be alone in an endless void. Culture would either collapse under the burden of this truth, or evolve into something entirely new. Even if Earth is the only real planet, some might argue that life once spread beyond it, through asteroids, comets, or even intentional seeding. Panspermia, the idea that life travels through space via meteorites, might offer a way to explain microbial presence elsewhere. But if no other planets exist, then those microbes would have nowhere to go. It would mean that Earth not only created life, but also contained it within its fragile boundaries. This raises a chilling thought. Perhaps life is meant to stay here, unable to escape because there is literally nowhere else to go. In this view, Earth wouldn't just be home, it would be prison, laboratory, and graveyard all at once. Time is deeply connected to planetary motion. We define days by Earth's rotation, months by the moon's orbit, and years by our path around the sun. But if Earth were the only planet, timekeeping might begin to feel artificial, just a system we invented to give structure to an otherwise meaningless flow of moments. Without other celestial bodies to compare ourselves to, concepts like age, history, and future might lose their grounding. We'd still experience time, of course, but without reference points beyond Earth, it might feel like we're floating in an endless now. Philosophers and scientists alike would question whether time itself is real, or simply a construct designed to make sense of a lonely world. If Earth is the only planet, then every moment of human history has unfolded in complete isolation. Every war, every love story, every invention, every tragedy, all of it happened on a single speck of dust, suspended in an infinite void. That realization could lead many to question the value of our actions. Does anything matter if we are completely alone, or does everything matter more, knowing that nothing else may ever replicate what we've built? Some might see this as a call to cherish life even more deeply, while others could fall into despair, seeing our existence as ultimately insignificant. Either way, finding out that Earth is the sole planetary body would force us to ask the most fundamental question of all: was all of this for nothing? If Earth were the only planet, then every recorded moment of history would take on new significance. Every war, every invention, every civilization, everything that has ever happened would have occurred in one place, with no other worlds to share in our story. This raises an unsettling thought. What if memory itself is all we truly have? Without other planets or civilizations to compare ourselves to, our past becomes the only evidence that anything meaningful ever happened. Some might argue that this makes history sacred, while others could see it as proof that nothing really matters beyond our own perception. In a one-planet universe, memory wouldn't just be a tool for learning. It would be the only thing proving that life ever existed at all. Even if we believe Earth is the only planet, proving it would be nearly impossible. Science relies on observation, testing, and replication. But how do you prove a negative on a cosmic scale? It's like trying to prove that there are no hidden rooms in an infinite house. Just because we haven't found other planets doesn't mean they aren't out there. However, if every attempt to detect them failed, if telescopes showed only stars with no orbiting bodies, if space missions returned no signs of planetary formation, then doubt would begin to grow. Eventually, humanity might accept that Earth isn't just rare, it might be unique. And once that truth settled in, everything we thought we knew about reality would start to unravel. Education has always been driven by curiosity, by the desire to explore the unknown. But if Earth were the only planet, that curiosity would face a crisis. Astronomy classes would become theoretical rather than observational. Children wouldn't learn about Mars, Jupiter, or distant exoplanets. They'd study Earth over and over again. Scientific ambition might shift inward, focusing more on psychology, philosophy, and biology than on space exploration. Would students still dream of becoming astronauts, knowing there was nowhere else to go? Or would education turn toward understanding the mind, the soul, and the meaning of being alone in the universe? The loss of external discovery could force us to rediscover ourselves in ways we've never considered. If Earth is the only planet, one possible explanation is that we're living inside multiple layers of simulation. Perhaps we're not just in a digital world, but trapped within a nested system, where even the idea of planets is programmed illusion. In this scenario, our creators might themselves be simulated beings, unaware that their own reality is artificial. Each layer adds another level of detachment from what might be real. This theory could explain why we seem to be alone, because our programmers don't want us to find anyone else. Or maybe they simply didn't code any other worlds into existence. Either way, discovering we're in a layered simulation would challenge everything we think we know about identity, consciousness, and the nature of existence itself. For decades, scientists and futurists have dreamed of colonizing Mars, building space stations, and eventually reaching distant exoplanets. These dreams have fueled innovation, inspired generations, and shaped science fiction and policy alike. But if Earth is the only real planet, those dreams would vanish overnight. There would be no Mars colony, no interstellar voyages, no alien encounters. Just endless space filled with stars but no habitable destinations. Governments and private companies would lose interest in space travel, redirecting resources toward solving problems on Earth. The idea of expansion would collapse, leaving humanity with only one option: to make the best of the only home we'll ever have. For some, this would bring clarity and unity. For others, it would feel like being locked in a beautiful prison with no escape. Even if Earth were the only planet, some people might still believe in alien life, just not on other worlds. In this scenario, extraterrestrial beings wouldn't live on distant planets. They'd be here, hidden among us, or waiting to be discovered beneath our own oceans, deep underground, or even within dimensions we don't yet understand. This idea would shift the search for aliens from outer space to inner mystery, leading to increased interest in paranormal phenomena, psychic experiences, and alternative forms of consciousness. Some might argue that if no other planets exist, then alien intelligence must have found another way to reach us, or perhaps never left at all. The belief in aliens might survive, even if the stars gave us nothing to prove it. In a universe where Earth is the only planet, dreams might become the last frontier of exploration. Without other worlds to visit, humanity could turn inward, using imagination to create entire realities inside our minds. Literature, film, and virtual reality would take on new importance, offering simulated worlds to replace the ones we thought existed in space. Artists, writers, and philosophers would thrive in this environment, crafting visions of planets that never formed, civilizations that never rose, and futures that may never come to pass. Dreams wouldn't just be escape, they'd be the final act of resistance against a universe that gave us only one home. Evolution depends on comparison. We study species across different environments to understand how life adapts and changes over time. But if Earth were the only planet, evolution would lose its context. Without other ecosystems to compare ourselves to, we'd struggle to understand whether our biology was inevitable or an extreme outlier. Did life evolve the same way everywhere else and simply never got the chance here? Or is Earth the only place where life ever emerged at all? These questions would force biologists to rethink evolution itself. Perhaps life is not a natural result of planetary conditions, but a cosmic anomaly so rare that it happened only once. That would make every living creature not just special, but possibly unique in all of existence. If Earth is the only planet, then we might begin to question whether we are real. After all, why would the universe allow just one planet to form, and one species to observe it? This leads to the ultimate philosophical dilemma. Are we truly physical beings on a real world, or are we just thoughts trapped in an endless simulation? If no other planets exist, then the laws of probability suggest something deeper at play. Either we are incredibly lucky, or we are being observed, studied, or created by forces beyond our comprehension. The truth may remain forever unknown, but the question would linger, haunting every human mind until the end of time. If Earth were the only planet, myths and stories would take on new meaning. Legends about gods, cosmic beings, and lost civilizations might be reinterpreted as attempts to explain our cosmic loneliness. Some cultures could begin to see Earth itself as a divine creation, crafted by unknown forces with a purpose we can't yet understand. Others might turn to folklore for comfort, inventing tales of hidden worlds beyond sight or secret dimensions, where other planets still exist. In this way, storytelling wouldn't just survive, it would become more important than ever, helping humanity make sense of a universe that feels both vast and empty at the same time. Even if Earth is the only real planet, some might try to create artificial ones, either in space or in digital simulations. Scientists and engineers could design virtual planetary systems, allowing people to explore alien landscapes without leaving home. Others might attempt to build massive artificial habitats orbiting the sun, structures so advanced they mimic entire planets. These creations wouldn't be real in the traditional sense, but they could offer psychological relief, giving humanity something to look forward to. Whether through virtual reality or mega engineering, the drive to simulate planetary diversity might become one of the greatest achievements of human imagination and survival. Science fiction has always been shaped by our understanding of the cosmos. From Star Trek to Interstellar, much of the genre revolves around exploration, alien contact, and interplanetary travel. But if Earth were the only planet, science fiction might evolve into something radically different. Writers might stop imagining distant galaxies and focus instead on internal journeys, exploring the mind, consciousness, or alternate versions of Earth itself. Films and books could become more philosophical, asking not, who's out there, but, why are we here at all? The genre may lose its stars, but gain a deeper understanding of ourselves. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, has spent decades scanning the skies for signs of alien life. But if Earth were the only planet, SETI's mission would suddenly seem pointless. Radio telescopes would continue listening, but there would be nothing to hear. Funding for such programs would likely dry up, and researchers would either switch fields or attempt to reinterpret past data differently. For many, the end of SETI wouldn't just mean the end of a scientific program, it would mean the end of hope itself. Knowing that no one else was out there would mark a turning point in human history, shifting our gaze inward and making every voice on Earth even more precious. If Earth were the only planet, it would have a profound psychological impact on individuals. For some, the realization might bring a sense of awe and significance. Knowing that all of human history has played out on one world could make life feel more meaningful. But for others, it could trigger deep existential dread. The idea that we are truly alone, with no other forms of life anywhere else, might lead to feelings of insignificance or despair. Therapists and mental health professionals would likely see an increase in cases related to cosmic anxiety, nihilism, and depression tied to the nature of existence. Some people might turn inward for meaning, while others might reject the truth entirely, clinging to belief systems that promise a greater cosmic story. Acceptance is often the hardest part of any revelation. Even if scientific evidence pointed toward Earth being the only planet, many people would struggle to accept it. Denial could persist for generations, fueled by hope, fear, or even spiritual conviction. Some might argue that our instruments are flawed, that our understanding of physics is incomplete, or that the universe is simply hiding its secrets from us. Others might embrace the truth, seeing it as an opportunity to redefine what it means to be human. Whether we accepted it or not, this knowledge would shape every aspect of society, from science and philosophy to personal identity and purpose, for centuries to come. In a universe where Earth is the only known planet, dreams and visions might take on new importance. Without external worlds to explore, people might begin searching within themselves for answers. Some could interpret dreams as glimpses into hidden dimensions or forgotten realities. Others might believe they're receiving messages from something beyond our world, perhaps a higher intelligence or a lost cosmic truth. Throughout history, humans have used visions and altered states of consciousness to seek meaning. In a one-planet universe, these experiences might become the closest thing we have to interstellar travel, a way to journey through imagined stars when real ones offer nothing in return. The finality of death might feel even heavier in a universe where Earth is the only planet. In many cultures, people find comfort in the idea that their actions echo across time and space, that future generations will carry on their legacy, or that something greater awaits beyond this life. But if there are no other planets, no alien civilizations, and no signs of intelligent life elsewhere, then Earth becomes the only stage where consciousness ever existed. This raises difficult questions about what happens after death. Is everything truly gone forever, or is there another layer to reality we haven't discovered yet? In a one-planet universe, the search for meaning after life might become humanity's most urgent question. Time feels infinite, but our experience of it is shaped by planetary motion, days, months, years, seasons. If Earth were the only planet, our perception of time might change dramatically. Without celestial bodies to compare ourselves to, time could feel artificial, just a system we invented rather than a universal constant. Some might start measuring time differently, using internal rhythms instead of astronomical cycles. Others might lose their sense of past and future altogether, living only in the present moment. Over time, our entire relationship with time could shift, making history feel like fiction and the future seem uncertain. In a universe with just one world, time itself might begin to feel like a construct designed to give structure to solitude. Art has always been a reflection of human experience, our fears, hopes, and understanding of the world. In a universe where Earth is the only planet, artistic expression might shift dramatically. Paintings, music, and literature could become more introspective, focusing on internal landscapes rather than imagined alien worlds. Some artists might embrace the loneliness of space by creating works that emphasize solitude and fragility, while others might reject it entirely, inventing fantastical planets through digital art or virtual reality. The absence of other worlds would challenge creators to find meaning within ourselves, transforming art from a window to the cosmos into a mirror reflecting our deepest emotions, questions, and dreams. If Earth were truly the only planet, humanity would face an existential crisis unlike any before. What is our purpose if we are completely alone? For some, the answer might lie in preserving life itself, becoming stewards of a rare cosmic miracle. Others might see it as a call to create meaning out of nothing, crafting stories, cultures, and philosophies that give weight to our existence. Religious groups could interpret this singularity as divine design, while scientists might view it as a fluke of probability. Regardless of belief, one truth would remain: if Earth is the only place where consciousness ever emerged, then every thought, emotion, and idea becomes part of something profoundly unique and possibly irreplaceable. With no real planets beyond Earth, virtual worlds might become humanity's primary escape. Video games, simulations, and immersive experiences would gain new importance, not just for entertainment, but as places to explore what never was. Entire civilizations could be built inside digital realms, offering people a chance to live among stars that may not exist in reality. Some might spend more time in these artificial universes than in the real world, seeking connection, adventure, and meaning in spaces we created ourselves. In a sense, virtual reality wouldn't just be a tool, it would be the last frontier, the final place where imagination could still reach for the stars. Philosophy has long grappled with questions like, why are we here? And, is there meaning in the universe? But if Earth is the only planet, those questions take on a new weight. Without the possibility of alien intelligence or parallel evolution elsewhere, the burden of meaning would fall entirely on us. Existentialism might gain traction, with many concluding that meaning must be invented rather than discovered. Others might lean into nihilism, believing that without context or comparison, nothing truly matters. However, some philosophers could argue the opposite, that being alone makes every human experience more significant, turning ordinary lives into cosmic events. In a one-planet universe, philosophy wouldn't disappear, it would simply change its focus, from the cosmos to ourselves. If Earth is the only planet, then the extinction of humanity wouldn't just mean the end of a species, it would mean the end of everything we've ever known. Every book, every song, every idea, every memory would vanish with us. There would be no one left to remember history, to continue science, or even to ask questions about the universe. In this view, protecting human life becomes not just a moral duty, but the ultimate priority. Climate change, nuclear war, pandemics, and AI risks would take on apocalyptic significance. We wouldn't just be saving ourselves, we'd be saving the only known source of consciousness in all of existence. And once we're gone, the universe may go back to being silent forever. Humanity has always found comfort in the idea that we are part of something bigger, a universe filled with planets, stars, and possibly life beyond our own. But if Earth were the only planet, that sense of cosmic perspective would vanish. We wouldn't be one small world among many, we'd be the only world at all. This could make us feel both more important and more fragile. Without a broader context to compare ourselves to, we might lose our sense of scale. What does it mean to be small when there's nothing else to measure against? And how do we define greatness in a universe that contains only one stage for history to unfold upon? Even if we believe we're alone, proving it is another matter entirely. Science thrives on evidence, but how do you prove a negative across an infinite void? Just because we haven't found other planets doesn't mean they don't exist. Perhaps they're hidden behind dimensions we can't yet detect. Maybe our instruments aren't sensitive enough, or perhaps the truth is being deliberately concealed from us. Some scientists might argue that we should never stop searching, no matter how unlikely success seems. After all, history has shown that what once seemed impossible often becomes reality with time. In this view, the belief that Earth is the only planet may simply be today's version of believing the Earth was flat. In a universe where Earth is the only known planet, children would grow up without dreams of Mars colonies, alien encounters, or interstellar travel. Their imaginations would have nowhere to go, except inward. Education would shift from teaching about distant worlds to focusing solely on Earth's ecosystems, cultures, and mysteries. Space exploration programs might disappear, replaced by deep-sea missions or underground research. But even in solitude, children would still dream. They might imagine hidden realms beneath the surface, secret messages in nature, or unseen dimensions where other worlds still exist. In the absence of real planets, human creativity might become our only way of reaching for the stars. If Earth is the only planet, then the search for meaning must shift inward. Instead of looking to the stars for answers, humanity would have to look within, to philosophy, art, spirituality, and science. Every human life would take on new weight, as each birth would represent not just the continuation of a species, but potentially the only spark of consciousness in existence. Some might turn to meditation, seeking deeper truths beyond the physical world. Others might embrace love, creativity, and connection as the highest forms of meaning. In a one-planet universe, significance wouldn't come from what's out there, but from what we create here. At the end of the day, whether Earth is truly the only planet or not may not matter as much as what we choose to do with the time we have. If we are alone, then every act of kindness, every moment of discovery, and every piece of art becomes part of something far greater than we realize. Our presence gives the universe its meaning, and without us, it may as well not exist at all. So maybe it doesn't matter if we are the only ones. What matters is that we are here, now, asking these questions, creating stories, and searching for truth in the silence of space. Whether we are truly alone, or simply feel that way, the journey continues for as long as we keep wondering.